On weigh-in this morning, the sassy mare bombs them in the breeders at Hawera. Hi Yo Sass Bomb's trainer Reid joins us. Sensational 7, Waller's new wonder mare maintains an unbeaten record and glows even brighter. Yes sir, what's in the pipeline for this bloke? Sir Delius sets himself up for a big target in just a few weeks' time. And they were stars on the track. Can they produce stars to follow in their hooves? We're with some new babies to keep an eye on. A very good morning to you. Welcome into Weigh-In on your Sunday morning. Great to have your company after a wet day at both Matamata and Hawera. Hopefully you've dried out by now. Aidan Rodley is with me in studio, as is Jayne Ivil. Wet here, contrasting to Australia, but still plenty of nice winners throughout the day.
Yeah, Jayne and I stayed dry. We were in the studio taking viewers through trackside yesterday, and it was a great day to be in here as well, especially watching the terrific action out of Australia. It was disappointing we haven't got that Matamata Cup, and obviously we're going to find out a little bit more through the program about what happens with that. We've lost Timaru today as well, so it has been the big wet, but they still had to get through conditions. I thought Hi Yo Sass Bomb was terrific at Hawera, Jayne.
It was nice to see her back in the winner's circle. So she's a mare that we know has an enormous amount of talent, but talent is exactly what we saw yesterday, and it's just such a great time of year to be a racing fan. I think we saw a couple of stars in Australia with Autumn Glow and Sir Delius, so we've got plenty to talk about this morning, Guy.
Yep, we do indeed. So let's get right into things and take a look back at the Taranaki Breeders' Stakes, won of course by Hi Yo Sass Bomb.
Here is the feature of the Grange Williams Stud Breeders' Stakes at Group 3 level, and Hi Yo Sass Bomb, she's a class mare. The best version of her would be tough to roll here.
The feature of the Grange Williams Stud Breeders' Stakes. Group 3 ready, gates are back, they're away. And last out of the gates was Hi Yo Sass Bomb along with Ra Reza, with a favourite bounced out in front. Mary Shan quickly joined by Kai My Queen. The favourite might land up in front by default, Mary Shan. It's a slowly run breeders. Third in the race with the head skyward is Midnight Scandal as they run to the home turn, and now the pace comes into the race. He's calling upon Mary Shan. She finds a kick. It's only a sprint home. Mary Shan out of the centre. Midnight Scandal. Canelo coming through, and now Ra Reza burst up really quickly. Ra Reza stormed to the lead. Drew a length in front. Hi Yo Sass Bomb flashing home. Hi Yo Sass Bomb going to Ra Reza. Oh, Hi Yo Sass Bomb. Hi Yo Sass Bomb back in business. Hi Yo Sass Bomb for the breeders.
Yeah, strange old race, but a quality mare wins that. Ra Reza's got a lot of upside. Canelo's great. Class mare, she is back. Congratulations to Kim. You're pretty emotional after that.
Oh, I really am. I just love this horse, and I know she's a champ, and last start was really disappointing, and you saw it yourself. She was a bit behind the 8 ball. When she's on, this horse. She's just a real champ. She just so deserves it. Really means a lot.
She's a class horse, this though, and she's obviously been competitive at the top level before, and her class just got her there today. She's done this before. When she has won, she's run with a bit of authority, and first or second up in a prep, hopefully a lot ahead of her.
Yeah, an outstanding performance. Hi Yo Sass Bomb from Ra Reza, Canelo and Benefactor, and we saw Kim Reid in that clip there, and she is awesome to be joining us now on the show. Kim, thank you so much for giving up your time with your little helper as well, and Charlie. Really appreciate it. Look, massive congratulations. What did that mean to you? We saw the emotion, and I think there still might be some emotion this morning. What did that mean to you?
Oh, she's an incredible horse. There's a big, family history behind her, and it's been a challenging year for me personally. It really meant a lot, this one.
In terms of that family history, before we talk specifically about the victory yesterday, Kim, just tell us a little bit about the backstory, because look, it's a wonderful pedigree that your family have been breeding from for years, and it just seems to be a real family affair.
Yeah, it is. So she, Mum went up, must be 25 odd years ago with my friend who, they went up and they bought Hi Yo What's Up at the Yelling sales, and she turned out to be a really, really neat mare in her own right. She won 5 races. She had 3 trainers through her career, And she finished up with Janelle Miller, and then Janelle went on and trained Hi Yo Sue, who is Hi Yo Sass Bomb's mother.
What about your own background, Kim? How did you get into racing and training?
Yeah, so Charlie's off to find your pony. Yeah, so I grew up eventing, got to a reasonable level eventing, and yeah, so through that whole scene, I trained. I went and worked for Richard Otto for a wee while in Te Awamutu, and kind of got the racing bug a little bit there, but went off overseas and did my thing, came back, and I kind of thought, why not give it a go? Yeah, I've learned a lot, and as you do, there's a lot to learn, and you never stop, I think, in this game. Yeah, so wouldn't change it, but it's not easy, that's for sure.
You talked there about Charlie going and finding the pony. Now, just tell us a little bit. There's a relationship between the pony and your galloper, Hi Yo Sass Bomb, isn't there?
Oh, Sass, she's an incredible horse, and she's very intelligent. But one of her things she doesn't like, if you upset her routine or how she is, she kind of lets you know. And travelling is one of those things. She won't travel on her own. So yeah, Jazzy, Charlie's pony, comes along to the races. So she's becoming a little bit of a wingman as well.
What was the overriding feeling for you yesterday, Kim? Because I know that this is a mare that you put aside after the Thornton Mile, gave her a good break. She trialled up superbly. What were your thoughts after her fresh up run leading into yesterday?
I was a little bit, it was interesting. I knew in the interview when Bevan was interviewing me pre-race, and I thought, don't interview me pre-race, because look, she was quite different this time, and she trialled up really well this time, whereas last year she was a bit, she can be a bit ho-hum in her trial. She knows what she's about, and she knows when it's game time. And that race, I wasn't entirely happy with her. There were a lot of things, she didn't look as great. She's a horse that when she's in form, she looks terrific. But then this last week, Chris galloped her for me at Waverley between the races there, and I thought, he came back really happy with her. And then I galloped her on Wednesday, and I thought she gave me that feel, because I thought, I do all the riding on her, and she'd been a little bit laid back in her gallops. Normally she's a bit of a demon and nothing can keep up with her, but she was having to push her through her gallops, and this last week when I galloped her on Wednesday, she gave me a really good feel, and she's really bloomed. So yeah, she really picked up this week.
Were you pretty comfortable watching it all unfold yesterday in terms of the position that she got herself into? She was a little bit slow out of the barrier, but she appeared to recover really nicely.
I think, to be fair, that race was a shocker for her in terms of we talked pre-race. Chris and I talked, and I said just the one place you don't want to end up is on the rail, and he said no, he agreed. And then I saw her at one point she was on the rail. She was kind of, and it was a really slow tempo. She's a mare that relaxes, and she's got a really good cruising speed. So it was a really sit and sprint race, but she did show her class. I did think, when I legged him on, I said, you're on the best horse in the race. I just really rate her. I think at her best, she's a weapon. She is right up there.
What about how she come through the race, Kim? How was she today?
Oh, that was that was the one thing I said. I felt she was at 90% when I was questioned about maybe, carrying on to the Live Mile yesterday, and I said, well, there's an extra 10%. I hadn't said what that was, but she hasn't been eating up what she's always done. She's always been really good with her food. Some people call her fat bomb, Hi Yo fat bomb. Just comes back and eats everything, but she hasn't been this time in. And then when I came out this morning, I thought, crikey, for the first time, she's eaten up. So I'm wondering, maybe I haven't been working her hard enough.
Obviously, 2 weeks now to the Live Mile. You're going from 1,400 metres to 2040 if you do go that way. Is that the next step, Kim?
I will make that decision during the week. I'd pretty much written it off yesterday. But yeah, just seeing that, she's cleaned up her bowl. Maybe she's trying to tell me something, and I'll make that decision this week. I absolutely think she's classy. What she achieved last year off a card of really non-ideal draws, with a bit of luck, I think she's right up there with those good horses.
You've got a super horse on your hands, Kim, but obviously a bit of a juggle. We watched you there with your lovely daughter, and it's always really hard when you're balancing mum life and work life, but it appears like you've got a real little race fan next to you.
Oh, she is. She was there yesterday. I watched a few videos, and, she gets really excited too. I always said with the horses, I said I'd never push her into it, and if she's not keen herself, then we'll look at something else. And but she's mad keen with her pony. She's beside me now, busy putting feed out and things for her, and she's just dragged her into Sass Bomb stable. So I don't think I've got a chance here.
Kim, one thing you said at the start of the talk with us was it's been a challenging year for you. Can you just talk us through that?
Just a lot of things happening personally. It's really kind of, I've just really had to, I guess, that saying when the going gets tough, and that's how it's felt this year. But yeah, I mean, I've always been driven by this horse. I've always believed in her. I broke her in myself. Saw her the day she was born, and she's always had a presence. So yeah, there was no way I was giving up on that, and it's been challenging. She broke her with her as a 3-year-old, which really did break my heart a bit at the time, and then I had Charlie in between, so it hasn't been an easy road. And as you said, Jayne, mum life is not a smooth road. It's definitely challenging. You're 24/7 a mum, and that never changes. Charlie does come, and I mean, I say I've got 2 Sass Bombs, so.
Well, I think you deserve to go and put your feet up for the rest of the day. It looks like Charlie's got things sorted anyway by the look of things. Hey, thank you so much for jumping on this morning. Massive congratulations, and hopefully we'll see Hi Yo Sass Bomb in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah, thanks so much, guys. Okay, all the best. Cheers.
Awesome. Kim Reid there, the trainer of Hi Yo Sass Bomb, who of course took out the Breeders' Stakes down at Hawera. Let's hear from the beaten jockeys, starting with Samantha Collett on board Rareza.
Massive run here, fresh up from her. Obviously, she had the one soft trial. The track conditions of that little bit of shower we had, I was really mindful of just trying to keep her on the bridle for as long as I can, and she's just been pip late.
Look, I thought she went great today. Probably did not really suit her, that heavy truck. But look, she jumped, and top was straight. I was not going that good enough to get behind the winner. But I thought I was snuck up on the fence. When I stuck up on the fence, it was very game to finish where she did.
Nice run. She's probably looking for the mile. She turned behind. She's got a bit flat, but got home really, really nicely.
Yeah, it's not so bad. My horse needs the pace. Today the pace is very slow, and the street just keeping the pace.
Yeah, I think the track was just that borderline too much for her. Obviously, you drew one on the inside. I don't think the track's too much different on the inside. It's just the way the race has been running. But she had a really soft lead, and just, I think she's a bit more brilliant than that on these tracks. The first and second horse, decent horses, but they're probably just out mutters, and yeah, she's got a bit of class about her.
Beaten jockeys there out of the Taranaki Breeders' Stakes. And just before we take a look at the race, obviously we just had Kim Reid on, and a breath of fresh air, just brilliant value, and great to see Charlie there as well, but she's doing great things.
She's a terrific horsewoman in her own right, Kim Reid, and what she's been able to do with Hi Yo Sass Bomb is outstanding. She's putting together a wonderful record, 6 wins from the 25 starts and just under 400,000 in prize money. She's now a dual Group 3 winner and a Group 1 place getter. And listening to Kim speak about her, she genuinely believes that she's a mare with the ability to step up and win at Group 1 level. I thought really good training from Kim's point of view leading into that race to make the decision to put the blinkers on. They felt like they were just a little bit behind the 8 ball. They didn't get the run they expected first up from her. The blinkers went on, and despite things not going her way in the running, she was the horse that had the best turn of foot at the end of a really slow run race.
It says a bit about Kim. I don't think it's only her 48th runner to the races. That's her 9th winner. She's already had a Group 1 performer. There's this horse running so well in the Livermore last year, and it sounds like maybe the horse has got the right constitution now, that the hard run and now turns the corner, that she can sort of work towards it. Won't be easy getting to 2,000 metres third up after going to a 1,400 metre sort of heavy track race leading in, but You know, like you say, she's doing the right things.
I think some of the key things that we've heard from Kim this morning is that she appears to have come out of the race in super order, and I think that's always the worry, second up 1400 metres, hard track. If they had a hard run, is it going to take anything out of them? But when a horse can go home the night after the races and eat up its feed when it typically hasn't through a preparation, that is a big sign that you've got a horse that's thrived off of what they've just done. So I imagine she'll probably really springboard out of it, and the fact that she's had a run on a heavy track will probably help for a fitness point of view going to 2,000 metres next start.
Interesting comment from Matt Cameron there, saying he's been beaten by a couple of heavy trackers. Looking at the records, obviously Hi Yo Sass Bomb's best form has been on heavy tracks. This is the 4th win to go with 4 minor placings from 10 starts on a heavy track. Ra Reza, who looms up and looks the winner under Sam Collett at this point, also with a very good heavy track record with 9 starts now for 3 wins and 3 minor placings. But I think he's being a little bit unfair on the winner, who I thought really was classy. And Kim talking about getting off the fence, I think Chris Dell got off the fence at the right time. He'd saved ground, but he didn't want to be back on the inside. Maybe that wasn't the right place to be for Matt.
I don't think the complexion of the race probably suited those horses that set up on speed. So Mary Shan, I imagine Connections probably didn't really want to lead, but lack of speed put her there. She was forced to dictate terms. They just went so slow. Like Kai My Queen sat outside the leader. They both finished last and second to last. When you go slow and it's sit in a sprint, it normally suits those horses up front because it's hard to make up ground. But they went so slow that the race was therefore run by the horse that had the best turn of foot. So we didn't see that from Mary Shan on a rain-affected track, and that's what we heard from Matt Cameron, was that you know, she didn't respond when he asked, and she didn't get through the heavy track conditions. She was vetted post-race, nothing was revealed. So I think for Mary Shan, it's probably just rule a line through, forget she even went around there.
Yeah, while those first 2 have dropped out, the next 3 home have provided the first 3 there. So it's funny, and they've run, 132.24 for 1,400 metres. I know that says a little bit about the conditions, but it also says it was a slowly run race. But geez, that's what we had yesterday. There was so much rain leading into the weekend that it was always going to be testing, and it ended up having to be a horse who could handle the wet tracks, although one was obviously very well prepared.
I thought the run of Ra Reza was very good as well. She actually travelled like the winner at the top of the straight, and I think just out-sprinted by Hi Yo Sass Bomb. But she's potentially a stakes mare in the making. She's only had the 11 starts, 4 wins, 3 placings. So she's a mare that Cody Cole's got that's putting together a nice record as well. Yeah,
if she was yours, do you press on to the Livermore, Jayne? What do you think? I know you want to see how the horse does in the next few days, but...
Are you talking about Hi Yo Sass Bomb? Yeah, look, I think... given the feedback that we've had from Kim this morning, if in the next... I don't think they'll make a decision immediately. They've got time. They've got a couple of weeks up their sleeve now to get the horse where she needs to be in terms of her fitness, and I guess that's a decision they can make closer to the time, whether they think they've got the mare where she needs to be. And look, I think that if they do, she's certainly worthwhile taking her place in the field.
If you're watching us on Wayne, she's currently at $21, which as soon as people, bookmakers hear that she's probably going there, she won't be a $21 show.
Yeah. No, wouldn't have thought so. Let's take a look at the breeding page for Hi Yo Sass Bomb, a mare that's had, as you said, Jayne, 6 wins now and just under $400,000 of prize money.
It's been a great family for the Reids in terms of what they've been able to produce. We've already heard Kim talk about the background of the horse, and look, go back in the pedigree, and he's a shocker, pops up, who's done a great job over in Australia for Mick Price and Michael Kent Jr. So look, there's certainly some staying blood in that pedigree.
A lot of wet track size. There's a lot of wet track size in there anyhow.
Rightio, let's move along to the Egmont Cup, the other feature on the day there at Harwater. This was won by Who Knows from Tobias, Solidify and Sacred Pearl.
For me, this is the performance of the day. I just taken by Who Knows. I love what we've seen from the horse, and just presented at the right time, and just proved far too good. This was the first run in 7-8 weeks. Steps up to a middle distance. Geez, hats off to Niall Quinn. I think he's done a super job, and now one who we can get really excited about for a New Zealand Cup.
It was a great training feat, wasn't it? She'd been off the scene, or freshened, hadn't been at the races for 2 months, and was prepared to be able to win a 2,100 metre race on a heavy track. So kudos to Niall. She's certainly the flag bearer of his stable at the moment. They've been really patient with her because she is a very lightly tried 6-year-old mare. Kate Hercock's obviously got a great record on her now. That was her third win, and I agree with you. I think going down to now a New Zealand Cup, she deserves her place in the race, and I think he was really smart by taking her to the Winter Cup. She's had that experience of travelling down to the South Island, having a look around Riccarton. That's going to hold her in good stead for later in November.
One thing I spoke to Niall this morning. He said, "What about that? The preparation?" He said, "Well, it's a jumping trainer's background. He can call on the knowledge of Mark Olligan and Kevin Myers, and he just backed himself to have her ready." He said one more start, ideally in the CD over a middle distance before heading to Riccarton. He'd prefer not to travel, but if he has to, he has to. And he said he's heading home to Ireland in December. He'd love to go home as a New Zealand Cup winning trainer to tell all his his family and things as well. So hopefully he can.
Yeah, that'd be a nice prize to take home, that's for sure. Mata, obviously, we missed out on the feature there. We will take a look at one race out of that card, but we missed out on the feature there after, well, a torrential downpour and obviously a little bit of lightning in the area as well. But such a shame to see just that heavy downpour. There was no other decision they could have made.
Yeah, absolutely. We saw the Matamata Cup move to December, I think, last year because the Hastings, the Arrowfield Stakes was moved to there, and then it was going to be too close to have 1,600 metre features so close together. So they may well go to December. That decision will probably be made in the coming hours. But yeah, it was a shame because the program looked okay, and it's one of those days, Matamata Cup Day, when the locals really do come out. This was the last race. Obviously, you can just see the lying water. I spoke to Warren Kennedy this morning. He said it was like riding a jet ski. He said the home straight and the back straight were both fine, but it was just coming around this bend. You can see the amount of water that's been kicked up. And he said that the problem wasn't with visibility, it was just going from changing surfaces. So you're going from decent track into a track that was slowing horses down. He said there was a lot of experienced jockeys out there, so they obviously looked after horses. But he said you couldn't ride competitively because you're just changing speeds. So,
Aidan, there has been some fallout because of the abandonment of the meeting and the Matamata Cup when we look ahead to the Livermore too. I know you spoke to Robbie Patterson this morning about One Cool Cat.
Yeah, obviously he was going to use that Matamata Cup as a lead up. Gives them a 2 weeks.
One bold cat.
One bold cat, exactly. Into the Livermore. But unfortunately, he's just had to abandon those plans. He'll head probably to Trentham in the middle of October as a lead up into the Balmerino Stakes at Group 3 level and sort of around Melbourne Cup. I think it is Melbourne Cup Day, isn't it? So yeah, it's a shame. And obviously there were others who are using that Matamata Cup as a key lead up as part of their form. So.
There was an open handicap there, the Russell and Yvonne Green Memorial, won really nicely here by Diamond Jack. It was a pretty dominant win after Opie got him off the rail.
Super ride from Opie. He just got the horse in the right spot. He was 3 back the fence, but he's come around that bend 3 wide, and he's just been the jockey who saved ground. Aguirre did look to go up and be the winner, but came to the end of it, obviously going up in weight and distance, did come to the end of it. Some good runs out wide. The Tiawa Mutu pair both hit the line really nicely, but Diamond Jackson, a purple patch of form. Mark Brosnan's team's going really nicely. It was just a beautiful Opie Boston ride.
Yeah, you mentioned he's found a patch of form. He really did put the riding on the wall. Poisson Plate Day at Ellerslie, didn't he, when he was slow out of the barrier and then had some excellent sectionals. I think the fastest last 6-4 and 2 of the meeting. He then bounced out of that and won. He's now been able to put 2 wins together. So, yeah, a galloper in form. I know that the team now need to make a decision about whether they put him away and give him a break or push on. But I guess when you've got a horse in form and rain around, you might as well carry on with the preparation.
It sounded like from yesterday that Mark was going to push on. There's a 2,400 metre race coming up, so some sort of chance. But his team's going so well. He's put Sterling Express aside, so we'll see that horse next into a railway leading into a BCD group sprint in the summer. But Mark's doing a super job with only a small amount of horses. He does most of the track riding himself. Him and his wife Yolanda work the team, and yeah, just hats off to the way he's controlling his team.
There are a couple of other nice moments on the day as well in terms of jockeys in particular. First of all, with Sage Jurek getting her first win in New Zealand.
Yeah, a nice effort. A good front-running ride with 4 kilos off the horse's back. She's doing an okay job in Australia, Sage Jurek, obviously accepted into the Racing Victoria Apprentice Jockeys Training Program, which is really important. They only take limited numbers every year. She's ridden 8 winners from 142 rides. And
9 now.
We're 9 now. She's actually got a really good background. She did some track work up in Singapore when her father, Vlad Jurek, was riding up there. Spent some time with Julian Welsh in Victoria, who's known for bringing apprentices through the system, and he's a very good horse breaker himself. She was originally with Philip Stokes, moved to Mark Walker, and obviously that's the association that now sees her in New Zealand. But it is a difficult time of year, Aidan, for these apprentices to be getting opportunity in Melbourne. So I think she's made a really smart move coming to New Zealand. It can only improve her riding.
Absolutely, and she's only a couple away from losing that claim as well. Also on the day, Muscovado winning for Darren Dennis. He's had a torrid time. I think broke his neck at the trials. He'd gone up to Singapore to ride up there before Singapore closed. It was one of his goals. He hadn't ridden a winner for a couple of years, I don't think. But you see him around. He's just a popular guy. And his interview with Brendan Popwell yesterday, when the term Dynamite Darren came out, I love that they've given him the tag. And it was great to see him back winning. I think that was one of the feel-good moments out of Matamata yesterday.
Yep, too right. And just goes to show again how tough our riders are. Alrighty, we'll take a quick break here on Weigh-In. We continue our look back at the racing with Australia on the other side.
And the good mare is going to race away with the Egmont Cup. It's all who knows. Diamond Jack burst away from Agira. Diamond Jack too good. Oh, Hi Yo Sass Bomb. Hi Yo Sass Bomb back in business. Let's begin.
She's a weapon of mass destruction. She's done such an amazing job in a short space of time. And Autumn Glow remains unbeaten. She was born a winner. She's the real deal.
She was out like a fart in a bottle. Just exciting to be winning a major on a big day.
Royal Supremacy draws away to win the Metropolitan.
Probably the strongest horse I've ever ridden. My God, I was bolting at one stage.
Sir Delius, take note, the real deal, Sir Delius.
He's a proper horse. I'm very lucky to ride him.
Yeah, what a day of Group 1 racing over in Australia, and that, the Turnbull Stakes, seems like the perfect place to start. Sir Delius winning in, well, very, very convincing fashion. He was excellent.
Yeah, he's a smart horse and very well credentialed. A pretty astute purchase into Australia, and they had to pay a fair bit of money to get him there, but look, his background in Europe was super, and he's been a bit of a phenomenon in Australia since he's arrived there with what he's been able to do on the racetrack, and I thought he was brilliant yesterday, Aidan.
Yep, we're going to claim him too because he's Sir Owen Glenn, so he goes around in those good bloodstock colours, and well, Sir Owen's been such a great.
We're claiming the first 3: Antonio New Zealand
Anthony
bred, James McDonald, New Zealand bred, Chris.
Very good win from a horse like you say, Jayne, who's just doing everything right. Just looks to be now the after beating the assistant, looks to be the horse to beat be in the Cox Plate, looks to be the horse to be in the Melbourne Cup, where he's only got 55 kilograms, and you heard that from Craig Williams afterwards saying that's been the target, and this is a year where you've got the 55. As Jayne said, 1.3 million guineas bought out of a horses and training sale, the Tat sale up in England, and was the top lot for that. I think we worked out around about 2.5 million sort of down here. So, but just a super horse. Really nice runs. Antino was forced to go and stuck really well. And Via Sistina, I don't think there's any knock on her performance, but you know, we just expected her to be winning that. She was beaten by one who might be just better.
What I think it does is just set up for a pretty exciting couple of weeks in Melbourne, particularly for the Cox Plate, which what looks like now an outstanding race. I think Antino was probably dictated to a little bit in the run by Sir Delius. Both horses track wide early in proceedings, and Craig Williams eventually got to a point where he could slot in one back, one off, which then left Antino exposed. Antino then did a bit of work around the field, probably hit the front a little bit early and ended up exposed. But James McDonald on Via Sistina, there was so much talk, Aidan, prior to the race that barrier one really wasn't suitable for her. There wasn't going to be a whole lot of speed in the race, which again doesn't suit her pattern. She prefers, you know, a strong pace to be able to show her best in a finish. But James McDonald could not have ridden this mare any better, getting her off the fence when he did.
Yeah, so you get him off the fence there and gets into the three wide running line, which is in behind not only the winner but also the second horse. So he's done it at the right time. But you know, what happens if Sir Delius gets a decent draw? You know, you can get into a 1-1 without doing any work. You know, the performance is absolutely from the top draw. Antino, as we were talking about earlier, Jayne, once Sir Delius gets in, you know, is left exposed, so they have had to do a lot of work. That's been a really good run too.
Yeah, I don't think Antino is out of a Cox Plate. I think you can go there with a fair bit of confidence. Look, Aliana, I thought, was the interesting run. I know that Damien Lane's comments post-race with it, once she got into the clear, she didn't really accelerate the way he was expecting her to, but I think she's probably a mare that needs a bit of momentum to build into a race and a bit of space to be able to get going when she needs to, and she never had that at any point during the run. She was in amongst them right the way up the straight, so I think maybe a little bit of a forgive with her. I thought there were a couple of pretty eye-catching runs in there as well. Half Yours, I thought, was very good, and sectionally he's the horse that came home the best. And the other one that I thought looked okay, despite where they finished, was Middle Earth, who fell out of the barriers and made up some really nice ground up the inside.
Yeah, absolutely. Half Yours with all those quickest closing sectionals, very good, and now they've got to look at how they qualify Melbourne Cup. Disappointing right down the end, Land Legend, who was one of Chris Waller's Melbourne Cup team, was really just ordinary, but hats off to Guy and Adrian as well. They get these horses, it's a big spend. They've got to do the right thing about getting this horse to bring out his best. He's won now like well in excess of $1 million in Australia, and he's the favourite for the Cox Plate, favourite for the Melbourne Cup. So there's another 10 million in race as well, 12 isn't it now? So you know, he's 6 from 10 now. He's a super horse.
This race has been one of the key lead-ups in the last few years when you're looking at Cox Plates, Caulfield Cups, Melbourne Cups, and you can see why when you're looking at the paths that these horses are going to take next. I mean, Half Yours now looks, you know, he deserves favouritism in a Caulfield Cup. Sir Delius, he's likely to now start favourite in a Cox Plate. So the Turnbull is a real key, and I think it's probably why they call it Moving Day in Australia, because it's sort of a crossroads where we now see these horses go on to their grand final.
Well, speaking of the Melbourne Cup, there was a golden ticket into it on the offing in terms of the Bart Cummings Stakes, and this was won by a horse pretty wide in the market, but who absolutely stormed home in the grey.
Super run. Obviously, the talking point with the race was Jamie Mellum's ride on Gilded Water, who went out front. She just said in post-race comments she was just unable to control this horse. She was really positive early, but then the horse sounds like it has got away from it. The run's been very good, but Valiant King, the grey, gets home really strong. This is a super Melbourne Cup trial. Torrenzino was pretty good as well into second, and Barclay Square was the other one who, in a race where those were, you know, who were swooping were favoured, I thought wasn't too bad as well.
I think probably a little bit of a relief for connections around Valiant King, because he's a horse that's always had a little bit of a reputation but hasn't really delivered since he's been down under in Australia. He produced a good third in the Chairman's earlier in the year, and that's easily the best performance to date that we've seen from him since he landed in Australia. So I agree with you, Aidan. I thought it was a great Melbourne Cup trial. The unfortunate, I guess, performances out of the race were some of those key New Zealand connections that perhaps didn't race up to expectations.
Yeah, I've spoken to all of those today. Peter Mackay saying that Wolfgang was really disappointing. They'll head home now, just reset. So Roger James also said disappointed with Mark Twain. He finished 13th. Leading into the race, Roger had sort of said maybe he was still a run away, so he is going to probably persevere. They're just going to work out the race. It was going to be Geelong Cup. He's now just going to reassess. And Raymond Connors, to the point, said they were just a little bit too fast for Trav yesterday, but he's happy enough and he'll progress as well, probably either the Moonee Valley Cup or the Geelong Cup now as a lead up into the Melbourne Cup. Of those horses, Mark Twain's closest to getting in. Yeah. I think he's 31st on the order of entry, and you see horses like Land Legend out of the Turnbull who you'd think would be coming out now. So you think he's probably going to be assured of a run. So the other horse who's in Melbourne Cup contention from the Kiwi point of view is Sharp and Smart. He's number 27. It's on the order, so he looks as though he'll get a run.
Well, there were a couple of Kiwi elements of success on the card there at Flemington. First of all, in terms of the expat Kiwi trained Magor, who had to be tough to win this, but did very well.
Yeah, he's probably still a bit of a work in progress when you watch him and you watch his action and the way he holds his head and changing lead. He's still got a lot to learn. So what he's doing at the moment is all on raw ability. He's a wonderful story for Emily and David Brown. I think $14,000 purchase, and he's come out and he's won the $1 Million Showdown as a 2-year-old and bounced back to form after a disappointing last start effort. He did probably hit the front a little bit soon and have a little bit of a look around. I think the best thing that could happen was My Gladiola getting up beside him and giving him a horse to find the line with, but she was very good in terms of filly taking on the boys. Tenterus, I think he was probably just in need of a run. Obviously, he had that serious injury in his 2-year-old campaign. He's been off the scene for a long time and probably just lacked a little bit of ringcraft and knocked up late. He'll come out of the race and improve as well. But Magor's sectionals were outstanding in that race, and it actually sets him up quite nicely for a Coolmore, which is really interesting when you see these expensive blue blood colts who need that Coolmore Group 1 win, and you've got a gelding like Magor who probably isn't that fashionably bred, picked up for a relatively small amount of money for a stable that are really doing a great job of breaking into that Victorian training ranks. It's a great story.
But one thing we've noticed about them, when they've been over there though, it's normally when they're classic horses. It's the horses who are the staying type horses, the Basilinas and those sort of type horses that we think of with the stable. But now they've got a really good sprinter, so they've got a speed horse there as well. It's all happening at the right time. I think David Brown celebrated his 50th birthday in the last little bit. And they lost Like a Gov, who was the horse who really got Emily going. I think she was training in partnership with Dad, Jeff McVean, at the time. Of course, he was a New Zealand Derby winner for Jeff, Emily's dad. And then I think they trained him to win the Counties Cup in partnership, which was basically her first good horse. So they lost him sort of in the last little bit as well. So, this is, like you say, they've broken into Australia now, and this is confirmation of it, I think.
Yeah, very much so. Kiwi breeding success as well on the card in the Gilgai Stakes. With War Machine, who was impressive.
Yeah, I thought he was super. He had an amazing preparation last season, which saw him win the Group 1 Stradbroke for the Lindsay Park team. And look, I thought he could be perhaps a little bit vulnerable first up, particularly up the straight at Flemington, but he was quite dynamic. Look, bearing in mind, he's probably a horse that now comes into contention for an Everest. We did see the premiere in Sydney, which was obviously a much stronger line-up. So he's probably got to make a step up in an Everest, but he can't do any more than what he's doing at the moment, Aidan.
Absolutely, and obviously we've got that Kiwi breeding behind him as well. He was with Mike Maroney before Mike passed, and obviously it was a horse that's got real wadded up breeding connections here with Jim Wallace, David Wallace and Michael Wallace. And of course we lost Michael last year, not so long before that David's wife died. So there's a fair bit of sentiment that goes around this horse. He's doing everything right. It was a terrific run. And now it's a question of, do they go on to the Everest or do they go to the Sydney Stakes, which is a consolation? You go to the Sydney Stakes, which is the race that they were contemplating anyhow, and you get to race for, I think, $3 million, and you don't have to share the money with the slot holder. So what do you do, Jayne?
Oh, look, I don't know. I'm glad I don't have to make that decision. I think there's something quite exciting about having a horse run in the Everest, and I think for us down here in New Zealand, it'd be nice to see another New Zealand bred in the race. Of course, Cummings rising the current favourite as a New Zealand bred runner, and our sprinters have just been doing such a wonderful job over the last couple of years. And that's the Hayes correlation too, isn't it? Yes,
You've got David, maybe the boys do want to take,
take their dad on,
yeah.
Not a bad decision to have to make. Up the road to Sydney, where we saw a couple of, well, one star and one potential star. The star, first of all, in Autumn Glow in the Epsom. Look, at this point, it was actually about where I thought she might be vulnerable here, but she showed every quality that she has under Kieran McAvoy to get it done.
I'm quite happy to admit that at the 600, I thought that she was under some serious pressure and that perhaps today wasn't going, or yesterday wasn't going to be her day, but to her credit, she really picked herself up. I just think perhaps the setup of the race didn't really suit her. She's probably, again, not a horse that benefits from a sit and sprint type of race, and when the speed really went into the race, she was left flat-footed, and it just took her a little bit to work through her gears.
Yeah, absolutely. That was the query, wasn't it? Just she's having to be pushed through what seemed to be a bit of a flat spot. Like you say, was maybe just being caught a little bit flat-footed, and obviously we lost Willie Dewitt leading into the race with an eye injury. He was a horse who might have just been able to pack up and put some speed into the race, and who knows what would have happened. Pierre was pretty good. He loomed to be a decent contender in the race. In the end, he's just hasn't got that closing speed to match what is a very smart mare.
Will he do it? Nothing to worry about?
By all accounts, they're heading on. I think it's on to the Alan Brown, which is still another $1.6 million race, and one of those innovation races that Racing New South Wales have put on. But apparently he's A-OK. But obviously this was a target race. It was a Group 1. They would love to be there. Sean Clockworthy had gone over, and so you just feel for all those connections, especially the travel that's a bit involved.
Very much so. Well, as I said, Autumn Glow is the star, and Apocalyptic might just be the next one to watch. This is a filly who has plenty about her.
Yeah, she's certainly looking like the real deal up in Sydney, isn't she? Those my racehorse colours, perhaps they could have had a wonderful day had Willie Dewitt been able to go round. But look, she has really been the find in terms of the 3-year-old filly ranks in Sydney. She was very good in 2 runs leading into this, winning at Group 2 level. The T-Rose is the key lead into the Flight Stakes. We've seen some incredible fillies do the T-Rose Flight Stakes double, and she now puts herself on an honour roll with some absolutely superb athletes, Sunline, Samantha Miss. There's been some outstanding fillies do that. I know that Michael Friedman was a little bit lost for words post-race, and potentially thinks this is probably one of the best fillies he's had in his stable, and G's had some good ones, particularly in recent years. And just want to touch on that partnership with Tommy Berry. At the moment, they're striking at around 40% in terms of a winning strike rate. So this season, as a partnership, they are just absolutely on fire. And it's a partnership that's been going for years, but the stable has really found form, and Tommy Berry and Michael Friedman just seem to click at the moment.
Helps when you've got one like her. She's gone Furious, T-Rose, and now Flight, so she's obviously very good indeed. A 3-year-old filly by extreme choice.
Well, staying at Sydney just quickly, we talked about the Everest before, and there was a pretty key lead-in race to that in terms of the Premier Stakes, and Briasa, who obviously has a slot, I think is 3rd in the line of betting in terms of that Everest market, was pretty good here.
Well, everything just sort of went to plan for the horse out of the barrier, didn't he? Didn't it? He landed in a great spot. He was able to build nicely, gather momentum, uninterrupted run down the straight. I mean, he's a horse that's putting together an absolutely outstanding record, particularly with his win record. I think that's now his 8th win from his 12th start. So he's certainly a winner, and he's earned his place in an Everest. Has to beat Cummings rising, but I think the comments from Michael Hawkes post-race were basically bring on the Everest, who's carrying Rising. So they've got a lot of confidence in their horse.
They went really fast through some of those early sectionals. From the 1,000 to the 600, both Mazu and Private Harry, who did pull up lame after the race. Private Harry went 10.4 from the 8 to the 6, 10.86 from, you know, they're really fast sectionals, and you just had to see something sort of from midfield off the pace really close off, and that was where Briasa, Jimmy Starr was very good. I thought Jetterbeer was an eye catcher as well.
Private Harry's probably the news out of the race, particularly looking ahead to an Everest. I know that they spoke to Nathan Doyle yesterday, who said there's certainly some doubts with the horse now heading to an Everest, particularly since he pulled up, I think, 2 out of 5 lame from the race. So he holds Yulong slot at the moment, but Nathan Doyle seemed to think that there would probably be some hard decisions to make over the next 48 hours, I guess, depending on the horse, how the horse came out of the race. But I actually think he's had some genuine excuses in his 2 runs this time in, Private Harry. Things just haven't gone right. And when you're burning yourself in the first half of the race, you're not going to be able to hit the line as strongly in the second half of the race. So he's not a horse that I'm willing to give up on yet, but look, I won't be surprised if he comes out of the Everest.
Well, we saw some pretty nice horses rolling around in Sydney yesterday, but there are some pretty good ones in a trial on Tuesday. I've got the feeling that this might be one of the most watched trials of all time. I mean, look at that lineup. And obviously, Cayenne Rising is probably the one that everyone's going to be tuning into this for.
Absolutely. I think it's called the Everest in King Charles III trial. But like, what do we get? Fangirl, Mr. Brightside. They go that way, and then the other 4 go towards the Everest, I'd say. But yeah, just imagine being a bookmaker for this. Yeah, how much money?
It's actually going to be really interesting to see what they do with Cayenne Rising on Tuesday morning, because it'll be his first time at Randwick. So it's an opportunity for the horse to stand in the tie-ups, walk through the mounting yard, get familiar with the environment and familiar with the track. Wouldn't be surprised if it's a fairly quiet trial. I'm not sure if Cayenne Rising can do a quiet trial, but I'm sure that what Zach Purden and David Hayes will be looking for is just the horse getting round the course, having a look around, and you know, getting used to the camber at Randwick. So yeah, it's certainly going to be a trial that they'll have a lot of eyes on.
You've seen him trial in Hong Kong.
Yes, I've seen him trial in Hong Kong, but he does know Sha Tin very well. So I just think they might be a little bit more reserved in what they do with him on Tuesday
And the
morning.
good thing for them is they've got Overpass in there as well, who no doubt will run along. And that's the beauty about what you're wanting from a trial like that. You want to sort of, you know, get a bit of a feel for how it's going to go and with that quality of horse you're going to.
Not often you say this about a trial, but bring on Tuesday. Looking forward to that. Rightio, we'll take a quick break on weigh-in. On the other side, we find out a couple of new horses, and we look at our moments of the week and Weight Watchers as well.
They were followed by Showcap, who needs a run right behind them. Lyrics and Song sprints up with Mr. Seaver. Then came Showcap, who gets off the fence behind the leader. Looks a hope, and Eden Rose down the outside. At the 100, Lyrics and Song has been grabbed by Showcap, and then Eden Rose. Showcap in the centre goes home better and will win. Showcap and neck Lyrics and Song, Eden Rose. A gap Mr. Seaver, followed then by, on the inside, Loren.
Yeah, Lyrics and Song there at the Valley on Friday night, the progeny of Melody Bell. Great to see her hit the track on Friday there, and I thought she was pretty game.
I thought it was a really good effort by the filly. Obviously cleared the barriers really swiftly, was left in front, and I actually thought she got round the valley really nicely, and at no point did she throw the race away. So she's obviously a filly that's got some ability. I just really like the fact that you could see that she was trying even after she was headed.
Yeah, obviously there was a bit of expectation there. She was sent out favourite, and there was a lot of sort of, you know, hype around her because of Mum. You know, Mum was a star racehorse. You know, one of New Zealand's best. You know, New Zealand's most prolific Group 1 winner. So yeah, great to see these sort of these horses. Produce horses who can then go onto the track, Jane.
And she's been a bit of a producer from well, to date, of fillies has Melody Bell. Obviously, we saw Lyric and Song go round at the Valley. She's also got a yearling filly by Daytonic and a filly foal at foot by I'm Invincible. So at this point, Yulong's got plenty of daughters of Melody Bell to continue with. But yeah, she's obviously, at this point, done a really good job to get her first foal to the races and obviously now placed at metropolitan level. So it's a good start for Melody Bell.
I think Yulong are collecting sort of star Tiaka reindeers. There's a few of them out in the paddock. So.
Well, that was Melody Bell's most recent foal. And here is Imperatriz, speaking of Yulong getting Tiako mares. Here's Imperatriz with her most recent foal as well, which is another exciting.
And again, a filly. So they're certainly producing daughters for the line to carry on, and this foal by a Pirata. So look, it's always so nice, isn't it, Aidan, when you see these mares that did such an incredible job on the racetrack that then go on to the next stage of their career as brood mares. So just terrific to see this footage and to see their foals at foot.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah, a couple of nice moments there. And speaking of moments, we can get to our moments of the week, thanks to the good team at Saddlery Warehouse. Aidan, you're up first.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. I just couldn't get too carried away. Obviously, just hard with all the wet weather here in New Zealand. So I've gone to this Kiwi linguist, Sir Owen Glenn in Sir Delius. I thought he was terrific, and he may be Australasia's star racehorse.
You're going to click onto that, aren't you?
Well, I went with the expat trainers, the Kiwis who's had success at Flemington yesterday with McCaw. I just really like the way this horse got to the line. I think that he's still got a lot to come in terms of learning to be a racehorse. I know that there's going to be some pretty good horses from Sydney come down and compete in the Coolmore, but I think he's put his name into contention. And the Brown family, they celebrate hard, they work together as a family, they work hard, and I just like the fact that they do it all together, and you see such wonderful scenes post-race from the Brown family.
Well, mine's actually probably Kim Reid's interview this morning, but I couldn't put that in at the time, so I've gone with this, Apocalyptic, and it's that moment right there when Tommy Berry looks back that really got me. That was the moment where I knew this horse was going to win, and where he was pretty much saying to the rest of them, there's no chance you're beating this filly. She's a star. So that was my moment of the week. I think she is a pretty special horse to follow going forward. What about our Weight Watchers? Who have you found in the last few days is one to watch? Pretty tough out of the conditions we had yesterday.
Yeah, it was. So I've gone to the Egmont Cup. It's been a great race over the years, and I've really taken by Who Knows. Love the preparation, and I know that Niall Quinn will be doing exactly the right thing to get this horse to the New Zealand Cup in the right shape. I thought it was the win of the day. I really taken by Who Knows, and I think going the right way. It looks to be a horse who's well capable of seeing out 3,200 metres.
Yeah, I think wet tracks have made the Weight Watchers really difficult this week. I've gone with Ready Response, who was narrowly beaten in a rating 65 mile yesterday out of the Kevin and Stephen Gray stable. He's only a lightly tried son of Better Than Ready, 3 starts to the races for a win and 2 placings. I think in this grade he can probably pick up another win fairly quickly.
Another old former winner, Michael Guerin. He'll love seeing that vision as well, because this was one.
He'll be rewinding it, playing it again all morning. Mine was Rareza from the same meeting as well for Cody Cole. Obviously likes wet tracks, so the conditions probably suited Rareza here, but I thought that the way that she stuck on was pretty impressive and good enough behind Hi Yo Sass Bomb, who we're full of praise for. So, I thought stick with Rareza going forward. I saw enough out of her. What are we looking forward to coming up? Obviously another Group 1 weekend in Australia next weekend. Some really nice races to look forward to, and obviously a bit coming up here in the next few weeks as well. I think
for me, we are sort of taking those next steps towards the classic races at Riccarton. So we get to the Group 3 Barneswood Farm Stakes at Ashburton, which should be a good one, Ashburton Cup that day as well. So that for me is what I'll be looking forward to, just seeing the next wave of those 3-year-olds who are South Island based, take the next step towards the Guineas races.
I think it's a hard question this time of year to say what are you looking forward to, because there's so much much going on. I think, in Melbourne right now, things are really heating up. Next weekend, we see the Caulfield Cup Carnival start with the Caulfield Guineas into a Caulfield Cup, into a Cox Plate, into Melbourne Cup Week. So, the next few weeks are going to go so quickly, and we're going to see some pretty spectacular racing. But I agree with Aidan on home soil. Obviously, in a couple of weeks, we've got the Livermore to look forward to, which I think is shaping up to be a pretty competitive field and an even lineup. Looking forward to getting back to Ellerslie for that. And then, of course, your attention does turn down south to the 3-year-olds at Riccarton. So, I said it at the beginning of the show, it's a terrific time of year to be a racing fan.
The countdown is on for plenty of great racing in the next few weeks and months, that is for sure. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. Thank you to you both for being here as well. We will see you at the same time next week. Enjoy your week of racing.